breaking news at this hour, and a big development in the case of two missing kids and two dead spouses that span several states, including Arizona.
Today, police arrested Lori Vallow in Hawaii. She's the mother of those two children. And ABC 15 investigator Melissa BLASIUS is live with the very latest details coming in on this arrest. Melissa?
Katie, Steve, the police investigation here has stretched on for months. The children have not been seen since September, and the mother and her new husband had temporarily disappeared, surfacing in Hawaii, a tropical paradise. Then this afternoon, finally some movement in the police investigation. Officers on the Hawaiian island of Kauai announced Lori Vallow has been arrested on a warrant out of Idaho. Vallow is facing a slew of charges, including abandoning her children, 7-year-old Joshua and 17-year-old Tylee Ryan. She is being held on $5 million bond. Vallow missed a deadline last month to produce her children to authorities in Idaho, and before living in that state, she lived here in the East Valley with the kids. The next step is for Vallow to go to court to be extradited to Idaho. Hawaiian police have not mentioned the status of Lori's current husband, Chad Daybell, so it's unclear if he could also face criminal charges or even exactly where he is tonight. The death of Lori Vallow's ex-husband and her brother, both in the valley as well, authorities are still looking into those deaths, so still a lot of unanswered questions, but finally movement in this big police investigation that spanned at least 3 states. Back to you.
A lot of people have been waiting for this, and joining us on the phone now is Frank Montoya Jr., a retired FBI agent. Frank, what's your reaction to all of this?
Well, I mean, part of me is like, it's about time, but at the other, the other part of me is like, this is how these investigations go. It's piece by piece by piece until you can get to a point where you can, get a warrant like this that will result in not only her arrest, but getting her back to Idaho to answer some very important questions. So it's about time, but at the same time, I think it's the result of some great police work too.
Yeah, Frank, I think a lot of people probably share your frustration. Can you give us an idea, though, if police move early on these things before they have all of their ducks in a row, what could happen? Would they have to let her go or something of that nature?
It's a great question, and yes. Bottom line is, if they don't have enough to hold her, then they'd have to let her go. If they don't have enough to use to further, enough information to further this investigation, then they're not going to get to an end result. They're not going to find the kids. So making sure that they're at that place where they can bring these kinds of charges that have some teeth, that ensures at least that they're going to get another crack at her.
Where then does this leave Chad Daybell? I mean, Lori's been arrested for accused of deserting the kids. Do they really not have anything on him at this point?
I think the focus has been on her, and this is obviously, and these charges are an indicator that they have evidence on her. It remains to be seen what transpires with him. It may be that they just don't have enough yet, or that they're timing this out so that they can take maximum effect of, maximum advantage of her custody first. But right now, it looks like it's just not enough to charge him, enough to charge her. So, take it one step at a time.
Are those in law enforcement just shocked by this case? This has just taken so many incredible twists and turns along the way, and the whole time keeping in mind we still don't know where these kids are.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? Or maybe the $5 million question right now. It's always shocking when children are involved, especially when these kids have been missing since September. It not only leaves a hole in your heart, but it motivates you to work harder, to dig in, and really don't leave any stone unturned. So, and then when you look at the nature of this case, just all the twists and turns, the trails of bodies, the whole bizarre aspect of it, it's a head turner, no question about it.
Frank, does having her in custody essentially allow police to put a little bit more pressure on her to give up some information as to where the kids are? I mean, she's on a $5 million bail facing extradition to Idaho at this point. She's in custody, but do you find that the reality sort of sets in once the arrest is made?
It can. It depends on the mindset of the individual in custody. These aren't, in one respect, hardened criminals per se, and they haven't had a lot of experience in jails, I would say. You spend the night, even in Kauai, you spend the night in jail there, and it has an effect on your mind. And so hopefully that's what will happen. That she'll realize that the gig is up, so to speak, and it's time for her to start cooperating. At the same time, you don't want to bring those charges too soon, because if you don't have enough and she decides to clam up, you've got to be able to act in other ways. And so having these charges out there, as serious as they are, I think really puts pressure on her to have to make some decisions about what she's going to do next.
Will this then prompt another look at some of these other death investigations that initially were thought to be something else, that they might take a closer look at the spouses and the brother who's also passed away here?
Yes, I think so. In fact, that may be something that they've already been looking at, and that all of this is contributing to the current charges against her. Obviously the focus is out of Idaho, because that's where the children were last known to be, and that's where they turned up missing. But it just, again, the suspicious nature of this case, or these cases, everything that surrounds these two individuals, whether it's her ex-husband, her brother, his ex-wife or his former wife, all of that is so very suspicious that, yeah, they're going to be looking at that hard too, because this is not just, the focus is on the children, but it's seeming more and more likely that this is not just about the children.
Meantime, Chad Daybell is out of jail. Is it standard practice then to kind of keep track of him, make sure he doesn't try to travel out of state or something of that nature?
Yeah, I think they'll keep tabs on him. As long as there's no charges pending, he has the liberty to be able to go elsewhere. It will be a test of their relationship to see what he does next. At the same time, they're still working on this investigation. If they determine that he has anything to do with the whereabouts of the missing children, in terms of whatever happened to them, if he decides to get on an airplane, they may decide to move against him. So this is all stuff that is developing as frankly as we're speaking. It's great news that she's in custody, and they hopefully will be able to get to the bottom of her participation in this, the missing children, her role in what happened there. But he's not off the hook by no means. They'll be keeping tabs on him. They're still trying to build the case against him, and we'll see where it goes from there.
People are still holding out hope that these kids are going to be found safe. Thank you so much for taking the time for us, Frank. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for your attention to this as well. It's really helped, I'm sure.
It's an